Go ahead, Calvin.
Today we're doing equations for tables.
Very good. Very good.
Can I go now? Or?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay.
10 out of 10. That's video.
All right. So, yeah, like Calvin said, we're going to do equations from tables today. So, similar to how we wrote equations from graphs, we're going to be writing equations from tables again in the form in this blank right here. Let me zoom in. You're going to write y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. That's our equation that we're going to be using. So just like we did yesterday from graphs, we're going to do the same things, except for today we're going to do it from tables. Not tables like
these?
like tables, but actual tables.
Oh, I see.
All right. So the first thing, here's our steps. We're going to find the change in y. Next, we're going to find the change in x. So when we find the change in y over the change in x, what are we also doing? Not the y-intercept, but the slope, right? We're also finding the slope. So these two steps is what we're going to use to find the slope. Okay? Which one of these letters stands for slope? M or B? Which one do y'all remember? Yesterday, M or B stands for slope. Which one? M, right? M stands for slope. And then the third step, find the y-intercept where x is 0. That's the b, right? The lowercase b. That's what stands for y-intercept. And then last, we're going to write an equation, just like this. Okay? So let me zoom in on this table, and we'll get started. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to find our change in y. So like these values here, 6, 9, 12, and 15. What's the change in y? So I know it's easy to look and say, oh, it's going up by 3. But what I want everybody to do is in your calculator, we're going to go to the very bottom of the graph of the table, the last number in the table, 15. And we're going to say minus 12. I got that number from here, the one that's right above it. So what's 15 minus 12? 3. Good. So this change is 3. Now, 12 minus 9 is 3. So you see what we're kind of doing here. And then 9 minus 6? 3. So my change in y, which is the first step, okay, if I'm looking for my slope, what I get here is what's going to be my numerator of my slope. Okay, numerator. So 3 goes on top.
So how we write rise over run, how would we write it for the...
Rise over run is the same thing. So rise is this right here. My change in y is the same thing. That's a good question. Run is going to be my change in x, what I find out here. So I know it's very simple to go, oh, well, why do I need to do this in my calculator? But when we get to negative numbers, okay, a lot of students get mixed up with the negative number part. Okay, these don't have negatives, so it's going to be very easy to see what my change is going to be. When we have negatives, it's going to make it a lot easier. You'll see. Okay. All right. So now let's go to my x's. So 3 minus 2. What's 3 minus 2? 1. Good. So like when it's this simple, okay, you don't have to put it in your calculator, but some students do have trouble seeing how to get these numbers here. Okay? So if you have trouble trying to figure out how you get these numbers, then that's what you're going to do. 3 minus 2 gives me that. 2 minus 1 gives me that. 1 minus 0 gives me that. So now once I have that, I'm going to put this, my number here, as my denominator in my slope. So I'm going to go over here, and I put the 1. So what is 3 over 1? Like what is that 3 divided by 1? Simplified down even more. Huh? 3. Good. All right, so my slope is 3. So now the third step, it says find the y-intercept. So we're going to have to find the y-intercept. Okay, where x is 0. So look here, I'm going to do this in red. Where, right there, is x 0? Obviously right there, right? So where x is 0, I am just going to look and see what number I have here. So my y-intercept is 6. Not the slope, my y-intercept, right? We already found my slope, 3 over 1, right? I'm looking for the y-intercept where x is 0. So if you ever have a 0 in your tables, okay, you don't have to do any extra work. You just go and look and see what y value is with 0. That's going to be your y-intercept. So over here, where I have b equals, I'm going to write that number that I circled, which is 6. So now that I have my slope and my y-intercept, I can write it in y equals form, right? Y equals mx plus b, so we're going to write it here. Y equals, what would be next?
3.
3, right? So 3x
Plus 6.
plus 6. Good.
And you guys remember, we've been doing work problems like this where 6 is your constant, so it's like you saying, I have $6 in the bank and I'm saving $3 per week. How much money will I have after 10 weeks? That kind of thing. That's what you've been doing. The slope is the per item. And the 6 is the one-time fee or what you already have.
So there's my y equals 3x plus 6. There's my equation right there, my y equals equation from the table. Okay? So, you don't have to write this in, but showing you the y-intercept, like if I had this on a graph, so like x is 0 and then y is 6, that means my point is like up here. Okay? So like the line would go like that. Okay? That's what we're talking about there. Alright. Let's go to the next table. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is find the change in y's. Okay? So these right here, 18, 21, 24, and 27. So 27 minus 24?
3.
3. Good. 24 minus 21?
3.
Good. So we see our change in y is going to be 3. So once I find that out, then I'm going to put my slope. That's going to be my numerator for the slope. So now I'm going to find my change in x. So this is what I mean when we have negatives. Okay? So negative 5 minus negative 4. Put that in your calculator and see what we get. We're going to get negative 1. Okay? Negative 4 minus negative 3. You would get negative 1. And then same thing for negative 3 minus negative 2. Negative 1. How many of y'all would look at this and be like, oh, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, it goes up 1, right? So that's kind of why I said to put it in your calculator. That way you have the correct change in x here. Because a lot of students will just look at this and say, oh, it goes up 1. Okay? It's not going up 1, it's actually going down 1. So it's a negative. Okay? So for my slope, I'm going to just transfer that over here as my denominator. Negative 1.
So would it be negative 3?
Right. So 3 over negative 1 is really going to be negative 3. Don't forget this negative sign. Okay? Don't forget the negative. So now we just got to find my y-intercept. So look at my table here. Do I have any values where x is 0? No. So I'm going to have to like kind of work backwards. We're just going to kind of like extend our table going up. Okay? So if I keep going down 1, my next number here, from negative 2 would be negative 1, right?
Yeah.
If I went backwards, I was going up. Okay. So if I have negative 1,
Maybe 15.
right. If I'm going backwards from 18, 3,
15.
it would be 15. Good. So I just need to go up one more because I got to get to where x is 0. So from negative 1, my next number would be 0. And then what is my y-intercept going to be?
12.
Good, 12. So there we go. I found out what my y-intercept is. It's 12.
What is
Oh,
like?
not 3.
Because I learned a way to like find it.
You did?
Give you the 0 for the next step.
show us that later. Okay, so now that I have my slope, -3, and I have my y-intercept, 12. Everybody together, what's my y equals going to be? Y equals what?
-3. Yay.
The whole thing. Let's say the whole thing. Y equals?
-3x plus 6.
Good. Plus 12. Good job.
Press.
You can write it in here, or if you can write it in the blanks over there that's on your paper, that's fine too. Awesome. Y equals -3x plus 12. So like there's no reason why you shouldn't get these numbers, right? It's very simple. All you do is just subtract. Okay? Subtract from the bottom, work your way up. Okay, let's one more on this front page, and then y'all can do the back on your own. So, first thing you do, find the change in y. So 35 minus 28. What's 35 minus 28?
Oh, it's 7.
If you don't know, then you just put it in your calculator. That's the good thing about having the calculators. 35 minus 28?
7.
Good. 28 minus 21?
7.
Yeah, it's going to be the same, right? And then 7. So there, once I find that, go ahead and just write it as your numerator. That way, so you don't forget. Go ahead and write it. Slope, 7 goes on top. We haven't found out what goes on the bottom yet. But we're going to do that now. 8 minus 6?
2.
Right. 6 minus 4, and then 4 minus 2, so on and so on. So once I have that, go write it in your denominator as your slope, right here. So my slope is 7 over 2. Can I simplify that down anymore? No, I don't want to, right? We leave our slope as this. Don't like make it into a fraction or decimal, okay? Don't put 7 divided by 2 and then get a decimal. When we do slope like this, we're just going to leave it as a fraction. Simplify it down as far as it can go, okay? All right, so now I need to find my y-intercept. So look at my table. Is there any 0 in my x values here? No, so we're going to have to work backwards. What would be next after 2? What would be the next one up here?
That'd be 1.
Look, it's going by 2's.
Oh, so 0?
It would be 0, right? Okay, and if I have 14, my next y value would be 7. Good job. So there is my y-intercept, 7. Y-intercept is 7. So now that I have my slope and I have the y-intercept, I can make my y equals equation. So everybody, y equals
7 over 2x plus 7.
good. Way to go, everybody. There are like 2 people. So 7 over 2 x plus 7. All right.
On our homework tonight.
You're going to be able to, yeah. Once. So we did these 3. Go ahead on the back. Try to work those 4. I'll write the answers up here in a little bit. If you finish it, then go ahead and start on your homework for tonight. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on how I got these numbers?
I do.
Does anybody else?
Me.
Anybody?
Me.
Anybody else?
Nope. Me.
What's your question?
Can I ask a question? Oh, no.
No.
No, it's 10-10.